Okay, this is part 2 of Cloaked Sasquatch. First thing I'm going to do is go over the bag. I think probably a lot of people want to see that. The bags, all 3 of them. There's 3 bags of apples. So what we got here is, we're going to go, I got them marked. Looked up the picture in the shopping carriage when I first bought it to make sure with the markings. I have to go ahead and just touch the bag, so it doesn't matter. There's so many people have touched it in the stores. But if you notice this one, the apples came up missing in this bag all of a sudden. This is the green apples. This is to be the green apples. And what's interesting about this bag is when all the apples vanished in this bag, just all of a sudden just were gone in a frame, in a picture frame, there was still 1 apple left in the bag at the very end. And I believe it was sitting probably, well, it could be sitting on either side. But the interesting about this bag is, I said there was no teeth marks on the bag, and I still cannot determine if there is or not. But it looks like something grabbed it and pulled on it and stretched the plastic. That doesn't really mean anything. But the interesting thing is, whatever was pulling on it actually breached the bag from the side. Now that is what's interesting about this bag. If it was, say, a deer standing on its hind legs, which I would think would be impossible with 3 trail cameras all within 30-35 feet of the target, there's just no way 3 cameras are going to malfunction. Because I know some people, probably some hunters with trail cameras out there that do this a lot, I would probably say, well, you probably got a deer standing on its back legs, and a deer could probably, big deer could probably get 8 feet tall with its teeth on its hind legs. But if that would have happened with 3 trail cameras all on that target, one of them would have detected that deer. I did see some deer in the pictures, which I'm going to show. The deer that I saw in the pictures are very small. They're just does, and they're like probably 50 pounds. So there's no way that doe would reach this bag. There were wild hogs in the pictures. I'm going to show those. And you'll even see hogs about this big, about 8 inches long, about the size of a squirrel. There were no squirrels in any of the nearly 2,000 photographs taken in 29 days on 3 cameras. So a hog this big will trigger that camera. And it did. So certainly out of 3 bags, if it was a deer standing on its hind legs, gnawing at the bag, trying to get apples, it would have dropped them on the ground. That would have been more time. He would have been eating them off the ground, and then the camera would have triggered. But this looks like something grabbed the bag and pulled it from the side. So if you don't see that. So the bottom of the bag is still intact, except for a little small hole right there. Okay, so that is the green apples. Still even have the branch stuck on it. So there is nothing on the top of the bag on this one. This bag's intact on the top, just on the bottom. So I think that's important. I would want to see that for the documenting this evidence. Okay, now this is the next bag we're going to look at. This is the assorted fruit bag. It had oranges and green apples and red apples in it. So I had 3 types of bags. One had green apples in it only. This one had the assortment with oranges and the mixed of apples. Now this is the one I find the most interesting and compelling, because look at, now these bags are all, the bottoms of them are all 8 feet off the ground, okay? So I had to bend the trees over to get to it, or stand on the end of my feet and use a twig over, with my arm extended 3 feet up. So the bottom of these bags were 2 feet above my head, and I'm over 6 foot. Now look at the bottom of this bag. This negates the possibility, really, of any, especially a Florida deer, standing on its hind legs and getting to this bag, because it's completely intact. It will still hold fruit. It'll still hold a row of fruit on the bottom. The only place that the bag is breached is on the side, which is right here. And then you turn it over, and something grabbed the plastic and pulled it hard, and it actually thinned the plastic right here and tore it. So that hole right there is just big enough to pull one piece of fruit out. And there's the top of the bag. So whatever it is grabbed the plastic and pulled on it right there and pulled the apples out the bottom, out to the top. And these disappeared kind of slowly, where it seems like he was taking apples and then coming back and helping himself to when he needed them. Probably just so they wouldn't have to be carried. But other than that, there was no teeth marks anywhere on the bottom of the bag. This one could be suspect. You know, I could believe anything of any story about that bag. But this one right here, if this was a deer standing on its hind legs, or a squirrel, there would be small holes everywhere. There's only 2 holes in the whole bag. The only 2 holes are right here and right here. The rest of the holes are the holes that come with from the factory, the little tiny, perfectly circled breather holes. And that's it. This is the one bag here that that will really, you know, really should make you think, what in the hell could do that? Because it's not an animal. There's no animal that would do that. I've seen animals my whole life standing in tree stands, spent thousands and thousands of hours. I know what their behavior is, and if this was accessed by a deer and he was standing on his legs, on the back of his legs, he would have started pulling from the bottom of the bag and ripped the bag until all the apples fell out, and then he would have probably had to come back over 2 days eating those apples, and there would have been at least 100 pictures of him on that. There's not one single deer or even a hog or anything looking up at these apples. I believe we're going to find out when I'm looking at the pictures that the animals didn't even come around until after the fruit was all taken, which took a while. So that is the assorted bag. Okay, now we're going to look at the red apple bag. This is the organic apples, marked organic. This one here is really interesting also. When I did part 1, you saw me make a little tear, I don't know, it's probably right here, to see if it was brittle, because what I thought originally when I saw this was that something sharp had cut through the bag. And the first thing I thought about was like maybe just, you know, fingernails. But if you look, what's even more interesting about this bag is that if you really pull on it hard, it will tear. And it'll tear like differently than those bags. Those bags will stretch like a grocery bag that you put food in. This one has made out of a different kind of plastic. It's more of like let's see. This doesn't stretch; it tears. So if you look at the bottom of this bag, this was torn from this end right here, and it was ripped like this, and this is also about 8 feet off the ground, the bottom of the bag. There are no bite marks whatsoever anywhere on this bag. Not a single place where you would see teeth that had made any kind of a mark on it, and I looked it over very carefully. I did see one spot right here where it looks like something applied a lot of pressure, and you can see it right there where it looks like something gripped it and just started tearing at it. And there is one hole right here. It looks like it was pushed through from the other side. So this here, this was not bit from the bottom. There is no bite marks on the bottom of this bag. See? That's the bottom right there. There is no bite marks whatsoever. It was torn from the side, like this. And the top of the bag is unscathed. There is nothing on the top of this bag. So all the little holes you see in that bag are the factory breather holes. And you can see those. Those are like right here. little tiny holes, and it's just torn right across. And the weird thing about it is the tears. I don't know if you can see that or not, but the tears, it is really nasty and dirty in there. So, and I think this is my tear that I did out in the woods to see if the bag was brittle or if it was cut. So I just wanted to go over that bag too. And that is the red apples bag. Okay, next one I was going to cover, I was going to leave this out, but I think this is important. I put one of these, as you can see in the pictures, this was underneath the center bag, which was the red apples. It was the bag of red apples, and this was in the branch lower, just below it, about a foot, and then there was my small 3 or 4 inch rubber Big Bird toy that I gifted to whatever's taking it. So this is a crunchy coconut bar, and it's got perforated edge on the side here. And just say, like, if somebody says, oh, maybe somebody came by and helped themselves to your candy bar and ate it, or power bar and ate it, there's a perforated edge right there, and that's pretty much where any human being, if somebody wants to say that, would open up a candy bar. They're not going to take it and like this or break it like that. Here is the wrapper that I found on the ground, and you can see that there is, and this is like a foil wrapper, and there is no teeth marks in the wrapper. This is ripped. I didn't find the other half of it, so this was left behind, and you can see it was just torn all the way in, as jagged. So the way to do this would be to take it and pull it like this. Somebody with no knowledge whatsoever what a perforated edge does. So just wanted to put that out there too for anybody who wanted to see that up close. I think that's really interesting. The more I look at it, the more interesting it gets. See it up close. There's no teeth marks in the foil, no indentations of sharp teeth. It's just ripped apart. Okay. Okay, we're going to do one more, spend one more minute on this candy bar. Now, this is the one that I found in the woods, okay? So, yeah, there is the other side, the perforated edge is missing, and it could have been torn that way. But you can see what it looks like, right? Well, Bonnie, she just came in from the other side of the house, and what has she got in her hand is one of the exact same bars, it's even the same brand. And you can see the way she opened it, and that's what it looks like. Nice clean cut. So no hunter walked by and took a candy bar and smashed both layers of that power bar in there. This was, she just normally, like anybody would do, to take it, cut it like that, and it rips. This one was grabbed and twisted, or I would say that's the only way it could have been opened. This looks like possibly one sharp tooth right there, but it's hard to say. So if this is a Bigfoot we're dealing with, I think that's probably the way he would open this up. He would probably grab it with one hand, which is this side, the clean side, and pull the other side like this. So just showing out every detail here. Okay, now we're going to review the digital photo anomalies on the standard flash camera. This is a Moultrie. It's a high definition camera. This is the bag of green apples that's in the view of the camera, and there's some bananas behind it. It is the bag on the left hand side if you're facing all three. The first picture, that was taken on May 14th is us placing the apples and then leaving the scene. The camera snapping photographs as we're leaving. It's set actually for every 2 seconds, not for every 2 minutes, as I said in the last video. You can see the small rubber big bird at the bottom, the apples at the top. Here's some of the first pictures it's taken, and you can see a deer. The apples above, the power bars below it, and then the rubber big bird is another couple feet down. There's a lot of pictures that I've taken out, they just don't have anything in them. I just put the most significant ones in there. This camera took about 136 pictures. Now here's the first light anomaly. And it occurred just before, the day before that the apples vanished, and the power bar, and the rubber toy. The second photograph, you'll see that the three-dimensional light has moved up. The pattern's moved up. There it is. I'm repeating it up and down so you can see it. There's only 2 frames that it was taken in. Look to the right, you'll see a deer. That's the first frame. Second frame, the light moves up. Three-dimensional light moves up and the deer is gone. Vanished. This is the day after. See the apples? The toy and the power bar. They're all gone. And this is about a week and a half in after we placed the camera. Moving up, what you're looking at here is an empty bag of apples. There's 1 apple left in the bag. It was ripped in the middle of the bag, not at the bottom or the top. 1 apple remains. Now, a few days later, you see the date at the bottom. This light anomaly comes up, and you can see there's columns of light. These are not bugs or rain or any weather. We checked the weather during those days, and there was no rain whatsoever within 20 miles or further or longer. Here you'll see, a few days later, you'll see how responsive the camera is. Wild boar set it off. So if there was a deer standing up on his hind legs, taking those apples, he would have set the camera off. You'll see coming up, there's some wild boars, smaller ones, small pigs. There's no squirrels in any of the photographs, and this camera definitely takes pictures of squirrels. All through the year, I have all kinds of problems with squirrels in almost every photograph. They trigger the camera constantly. There was no squirrels out at this time. Next significant picture is another deer in there. Another deer to your right. These are does, small deer. They couldn't stand up 8 feet anyways to get to that bag. Here's another picture of a deer taken at night with the infrared as the camera automatically reverts back to infrared. Then you see us show up on June 6th. It was placed May 14th to June 6th. Okay, now we're going to go look at the black flash camera. I'm bending over. That camera is directly 30 feet in front of me as I'm bending over. So we'll take a look at the evidence on that one. And there's the camera there, and I'm standing at it at the level it's placed. So the elevation is about 6 feet. This picture shows what the camera looks like. It's not a cheap camera. It's not the kind you buy at a department store off the shelf in the sporting goods. Okay, this camera took a total of 53 photographs. And it started on May 14th, 2015 at 2:18 in the morning. Here's us setting up the bait traps. Here's another picture of us looking at it, making sure everything's fine. It's about 2:20 in the morning. Showing another picture, basically showing how sensitive the camera is. I'm not going to show all 53 photographs. I'm going to show a handful. Okay, didn't take a picture the rest of the night until about 10 in the morning. And here's Alex, my friend. And there's Alex to the left, so you can see how sensitive it is. Now this picture is June 6th. The entire time we were gone, it didn't take any pictures in between. Only when we were there setting up and coming back to remove the cards. Not one digital photograph in between. So that is significant, and that happens often, especially when I had put up 2 camera traps. One camera malfunctions, the other camera catches anomalies or captures the bait vanishing. So this is the black flash camera and what we experienced with it. Okay, here we have our Bushnell high definition trail camera, which is set up about 35 feet from the bags of apples. And this is what it looks like. And this camera is about 2 weeks old when I started using it on this experiment. Here's a close-up of what it looks like, the view. When I was bending over in the last picture, in the last camera, this camera would be behind me as I'm bending over. Here's a close-up of the apples. Right below the green apples on the left is this rubber Big Bird for a gift. To see if I can get a response. Here's a note. I did it the last minute when I was there. Brought some colored stones with me. Some polished stones to see what he would do. And there is the first picture is taken, and that is on May 14th, 2015. And you can see how well it takes a picture in the dark. This is infrared. Automatically switches back and forth. When it starts to get dark out, it'll switch to infrared automatically. Here's a picture taken in the morning, actually probably a few days later. Nothing significant here. Okay, this is frame 350, 350 pictures after May 14th, and everything is still in place. So the date is 6/18. Now we're moving up onto picture 351. The red apples are gone, and the toy is gone, and here's a close-up. And the note is still on the ground with the stones. You'll notice that the rocks and the 2 polished stones seem to be fanned out on the ground next to the note, which is still in place. The yellow rubber toy Big Bird is missing. Above it, there's only 1 red apple left in the bag. This coincides with what the other camera, the standard flash, picked up on 6/19. However, this Bushnell camera did not pick up a light anomaly. Not up until this point. However, it did later on. Since there are 1,612 pictures on this one experiment with this Bushnell camera, we can't put all of them on here. So we're going to go from picture 351, and the next one you're looking at is picture 422. And that was taken at 4:12 p.m. You're going to notice the apples on the left, which are the green ones, are all present. Then we're going to go to the next frame, which is 423. And that's taken on May 20th, 2015. And the time is 1:15 a.m. What you're going to see is a light anomaly, which matches up to the other digital camera, which is about 35 feet away to the left of this camera. Okay, now we're at frame 423 and 424 back to back. This is May 20th, 2015. It's 1:15 a.m. in the morning. Both pictures were taken at the same time and within a few seconds of each other. This is a strong white light. The next picture is taken at 11:03 a.m. the next day. It is picture 425. There is no pictures in between. All of the green apples are gone on the bag on the left. So what are we looking at here? Over 1,620 digital photographs, and only when the light anomalies occur do we have the apples come up missing. And the toy that was put in the tree and the power bar all mysteriously vanish when there's a light anomaly. and at least 1 or 2 cameras are picking it up every time. There is no anomalies in any of the other photographs. Okay, we move forward to picture 1318. Around 900 pictures later, nothing significant. You see one hole in the bag. Now the pictures are dark, 2 in a row. So dark you can't see the content. However, I took the liberty of lightening it up in this photograph. You still can't see anything in it. However, the apples are all gone in the assortment bag. The oranges, the red apples, and the green apples are gone except for 2. There's 1 single hole in the bag, about the size of a large hand, halfway up through the bag. I'm zooming in on it so you can see it. The 2 blacked out pictures were at 11:19 a.m., a 2-second pause between the photos. There were no malfunctions in over 1,620 pictures except at the time when the apples were coming up missing. There's 1 apple and 2 fruit left in the assortment bag in 1321 picture. We move ahead to picture number 1392. There's an orange and an apple present. In the next picture, a few frames later in 1395, the only time where there was not a light anomaly, but nothing captured, there's no fruit. You can see 1 wild boar in the photo. There's no apple droppings or pieces on the ground. Okay, we're moving ahead from picture 1395 to 1595. 200 photos later, nothing significant. Here's us entering from the right. You can see our high intensity flashlight. That flashlight is 5,000 lumens. It's a special order light, and I aim it at the camera as I'm coming in by accident, but it gives you an opportunity to see how the camera is affected by strong light. So the anomalies that were captured on this trail camera, that's something to think about because they're a lot stronger than any flashlight you can buy in this country. My flashlights are ordered from overseas. The strongest ones you can purchase over the counter at a Walmart are generally around 600 lumens nowadays. Mine is 5,000, and it was aimed directly at the camera. So think about the anomalies that you had in these photographs. They cannot be something from a hunter walking through the property, and they were only showing up when apples were coming up missing out of nearly 2,000 photos over a month and a week. Thanks for watching. Please leave your comments.